guys, you're welcome back to my channel. You're welcome back to With Oluwakolumi. If it's your first time here, my name is Oluwakolumi and I am a lawyer and business analyst living in Lagos, Nigeria. I like to make videos about tech and my working as an IT business analyst and anything that I basically find interesting. So if it's your first time here, please subscribe, share the word, join the fam. Comment in the comment section, all that good stuff. If you like to connect with me outside of here, also nice. LinkedIn, social media, Instagram, and all that good stuff. They're in my name and my usernames are in my description bar. So yeah, but if you're an OG, if you're a returning viewer or subscriber, what's good? What's popping? How you guys doing? You're welcome back, guys. Thank you for watching the vlog before this one, and the one before that one, and the one before that one. So yeah, as the thumbnail and title already tells you, today we're going to be talking about common acronyms and phrases used as a business analyst. Words that you typically find in write-ups, especially on LinkedIn, or you hear people talk about, you see in conversation or in resource that you come across or not. um, just generally words that we use as business analysts in the world of tech, right? Essentially, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. I always say that I'm not going to shalaye this time around, guys. I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. Yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So number one on the top of my list, this one is like number ones actually, because I'm going to be lumping a lot of phrases into number one. I'm going to be lumping BRD, I'm going to be lumping FRD, I'm going to be lumping NFR, I'm going to be lumping software requirement specification. So essentially, if you hear somebody say things like BRD typically stands for business requirement documentation. In fact, this is a must know and a must have. And these are documentations that business analysts kind of use to define business requirements. Just like I shared in my previous vlog, um, that the essence of a business analyst is to identify need, and to give value that will give value to an organization. So in the process of identifying the need, right, and trying to give solution, there are definitely requirements that you are going to be documenting, you know, to kind of suit what the business needs, right? And this type of documentation is what we put into a BRD, aka business requirement documentation. So on to the next one, I'm going to talk about system specification documents. Honestly, yeah, this is totally dependent on the organization. I always say that this is dependent on the organization that you work in. But often time than not, is that English correct? Often time than not, yeah. You would find that system specification documents can also be included in the BRD, right? So system specification documents specifically speaks to like the technical requirements, So the business has said that this is the requirements that they have to build to to that this solution that you have come up with, these are their needs that this solution must meet, right? And this is what they require, um or term this the software that the solution that you are coming up with to be successful, right? So software certification requirements would now be the specification of the software that you are trying to build. So technically, what's the requirement? What is it going to take for this software to be top notch, or for this software to be delivered? So it's different. You can see the business needs, business requirements, software requirements, and software needs, right? what do I need to be able to achieve, or what must be in this solution technically, or what would this solution comprise of? What's the arm of the solution? What's the head of the solution? Just like counting my head, my shoulder, my knee, my tail, right? Essentially, what are the components that will make up this solution that we have envisioned, or this solution that we're trying to build? What are the components, the wires, the everything that's going to that 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 is technical. So to speak, an opposite of BRD. BRD is business, software is technical, right? You also hear things, I mentioned FRD, functional requirement documentation. In my opinion, functional requirement and non-functional, um, I think there's a word, non-functional requirements, right? In my opinion, this can be included in your BRD, you know. But I guess there are practices and organizations where you have to kind of have a separate documentation for your non-functional requirements and your functional requirements. But essentially, this can be included in your business requirement documentation, or even in your systems, even in your solution specification requirements or documents, however that is. Yeah, ultimately, even all these four that I have mentioned can be put into one documentation. It will be more bulky, right? Having different parts for system, having different parts highlighted for functional, for yeah, but for proper management of document, this can be included into one whole documentation. However, I know that there are some organizations that their BAs are not their systems architects, right? Um, System architecture in its entirety is not exactly is not in totality the role of a business analyst. But these days you're finding business analysts also being business architects. But systems architect, I said this, I beg your pardon, systems architect is actually another role on its own. They understand the architecture of the solution and the services that are consumed within an organization. So whilst BA essentially looks at the front, systems architect is looking at the back end, like what happens at the back of the solution, or what is the architect, or what is the architecture of an organization looks like. That's a systems architect. So nowadays you find BAs being both systems architects. So yes, that's why I said that. But if they are different if in your organization you have, or you see that in an organization they have a defined rules, so of course your system specification requirements will not be lumped up in your document, obviously. As a business analyst, you may or you may not have heard something we call the SWOT analysis, right? The SWOT analysis is typically used when you're building a business case, right, and you're doing your feasibility studies. And SWOT analysis basically standing for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So yes, I think the facts speak for itself. I don't want to speak so long because I took so long on the first point, right? Yes, these are things that must be determined when you're developing your business case and when you are doing your feasibility studies. Again, I don't know if it's in all organizations that you're required to do this, but a business analyst should definitely, know these components especially, right? Number three, there's something we'll call must go. So must have, should have, could have, and won't have. So it helps with prioritization, right? Because requirements, when you're dealing with stakeholders, requirements, and when you're dealing with different stakeholders, right? It can be sometimes overwhelming dealing with different requirements from when we're trying to build a solution. And this stakeholder say, "Oh, I want to, this must be there, and this must be there, this one," and you're dealing with a lot of people. So Moscow kind of helps you determine, the must-haves, the should-haves, the could-have, and the won't-have, right? Well, whilst doing your analysis. So this kind of helps you prioritize again and streamline requirements for the solution accordingly, so that you are doing things that are actually needed, right, as opposed to doing everything requested. You do understand what I'm saying? Without proper analysis, you are doing things that the solution of the organization actually need. So number four, of course, BA, business analysis. That's another acronym, of course. But number five, there's something we call API, application planning interface. So APIs are pretty much documentations that are done to back up the code that the developer has written. So if it's fine if a developer writes a code, right? You know, but there's no documentation to show or to guide the implementation of what the developer has developed. You might as well just have written the code and kept it in your house for just you and the code to be looking at yourself. So essentially, APIs also enable integrations. You know, typically when you see a typical API, you are able to see the requests and the responses. Like on an application, if this say that can payment application, for example, you can able to see on this application if this request, if the customer enters account number blah, 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 as request response, this is what the response should be essentially. So it's like a representation of the code that has been done, but documented properly for implementation or integration purposes, essentially. Number six now is process modeling. So I know that in my last vlog, I kind of mentioned, when I was mentioning tools and I was mentioning things like Jira and I said, I beg your pardon, when I was mentioning tools like Visio and Lucy Chat. So yes, essentially, these are what these tools enable you to do, process modeling. They allow you to, put your processes into diagrams and kind of put it into picture, put it into, diagrams essentially so that you can visualize it. They allow you visualize the process. Number seven is user story. You must have heard this or not, right? And I think I kind of referenced it in my last vlog. User stories. So I referenced this in my last vlog, and I think I give an in-depth explanation into what user stories are. In fact, I think I broke it down. So I honestly don't want to repeat it, but this is definitely a word, a phrase, a terminology that a business analyst cannot joke with or do without. So if you probably like to get more insight, I'm trying to avoid this video getting long. Please check the previous vlog for a detailed explanation of what a user story is. And there's also a possibility that I will do a more detailed explanation and like how to do user stories, how to write user stories, and kind of how to do it properly. So let me know if that's something that interests you, right? So that I can explain accordingly. Number eight now, use case. So essentially, use cases are basically highlighting how a person is supposed to use a particular functionality, right? When you are documenting a solution, there are different functionalities. But use case now builds on each functionality, right? And takes them as one, like takes them on an individual basis and highlights how a person is supposed to use this functionality, how an end user is supposed to use this functionality from end to end, what they are going to do to start it, and how the process of using the functionality is going to end, essentially. Please give me $1 for the number of times I say essentially in this video. DevOps, yeah, DevOps is definitely a word. I think it's number 9. DevOps is definitely a word. Essentially, it connotes continuous development and operations, right? So it's more like to guide. Is typically used to guide the software developers when they are carrying out their work, or essentially people working, on a project to ensure that whatever they are developing is up to standard. Reviews are done on it, just like what says continuous development and operation. Like essentially, that's what it means. Just I think it's just like a check and balance of some sort to kind of ensure that development is being tracked. Like the operation of development work is being tracked and is done in whatever decided level, or with whatever decided care that is supposed to be done with. So EA, enterprise architect, I think I kind of mentioned this, right? When I was talking about BAs also doing solution specification documentation. Yeah. So systems architects too, I mentioned them. This is they deal with the back end of things. So I don't need to repeat myself on that. Number 11 is SDLC. Whether you are BA or PMO or whatnot, which is another word by the way, I'll explain that after PM. Right? Whether you are BA, whatever tester or QA, you must know this word, software development life cycle. Essentially, you know, what are the things that happen during software development? Life cycle meaning the lifespan of a development, meaning from start to finish. So what are the things that typically happen from initiation of development of a solution till the very end, right? Essentially that's what is in software development life cycle. Ish, right? And so it's number 12. PM, just like I mentioned earlier, PM could typically stand for project manager or product manager. Product managers are people that are kind of, saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that timelines and resource management is done accordingly on a project, right? Um, Timeline management and resource management is done accordingly. They are the ones, they are the guys typically interested in, when is this going to go live? What do we need to achieve to ensure that this project goes live when it's supposed to go as we have committed? What time will it take us achieve this to achieve this solution while giving maximum value, right? So what resources are we going to need to get this done? These are their questions. Resource and timeline, just if you know other parts of their roles, please kindly let me know in the comment section, right? But product managers are not limited. Product Product managers are not, on the other hand, are not limited. Products are not limited to the scope of a software development life cycle. Their role kind of transcends outside of the software development life. Although they kind of have relationships or they have input in software development, right? But their role kind of larger than the software development life cycle. Because for them they are also looking at competing markets. They're working with sales, they're working with marketing. They're saying, okay, our product has even now gone live now. How is it doing? uh, um when you put it side by side with people in the market, you understand? They're the ones that are looking at competitions and I say, yeah, these people have this thing, we should have it too. They are more speaking from like a from a managerial, it's more holistic. From their view is a little more high level, right? It's like a higher level than the actual scope of whatever you are developing within a software development life cycle, essentially. Because I realized that I have spoken a lot and I'm trying to keep this video short, but unfortunately there are so many other things that I need to cover. So I'm guessing I'm going to record like a part two for this. So if you would like to see the other acronyms or words phrases that you should get familiar with, either as an intending business analyst or an existing business analyst, right? Please watch out for the part two of this video. um I felt it would be necessary for me to it would not be nice for me to just lump everything, because as I was looking at the time of recording, it was already seeming really long, right? So that being said, I hope we have learned a thing or two. I must say that I know when I started, I was saying that I didn't want to talk so much, shall I AFC, but I don't know. I don't know how to just highlight things without giving detailed information about it. Because I feel like the essence of making this video is so that you guys can learn, like get knowledge. What's the essence of I'm making these videos if nobody's going to live? I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, come on. So pardon me that I like to shalaye, but I mean it's all for the good of you guys watching, and it's just so that you get maximum value. Again, I'm a business analyst, so maximum value is always my concern. All right, guys. So my next vlog is love and light. Please do not forget to share. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to tell a friend to tell a friend, and do not forget to above all meet me in the comment section. Please don't forget to subscribe once again. So my next vlog is adios. Bye, guys.